Hi, my name is Darren Hamill, and I want to talk to you about my first Kundalini experience. It actually happened when I was in seminary to become a Roman Catholic priest. It was back in 1988, and I was just after an airplane crash where it wiped out my Army unit, and I was feeling intense grief for it. And the priest there taught me how to meditate. And instead of meditating 20 minutes a day like he suggested, I started out 20 minutes, and it slowly built up to hours and hours a day. Because, the grief of losing your entire Army unit is pretty intense. So I did that, and so the grief, the guilt, and everything else built up. And that's what originally raised the Kundalini. And what happened was it started, one night it started with feeling like I was floating above my bed, and I started spinning. It was like the out-of-body experience where you're spinning and stuff. And that happened for 5 consecutive nights. Each night it got more intense, it got more scary. And I was talking to a buddy of mine at work, and he was saying, you just got to surrender to God when these things happen, and it transformed the scary stuff into good stuff, and just put it in divine hands, which is what I did. And I that 5th night, I was having the same things floating up out of the bed, and it got really intense that night. I felt like my blood was on fire, and I was swelling up. And when I looked back at the bed, I was still on bed, which is really weird. And I was in a second body, which of course now I know all about out-of-body experiences, but I saw myself on the bed, and this body that I was in was floating above the ground. This out-of-body experience, I was floating above the ground, and I was getting really heavily muscled and stuff. And that out-of-body, that second body, it's very pliable. It just goes with your mind of what it thinks it becomes. And I was really feeling this anger and rage and hatred and everything else, because I was really going through a catharsis of the negative emotions after this crash. And when I surrendered finally to God, God, this is all in your hands, I'm surrendering to you, then this absolute peace just washed over me. And when I looked at my body again, instead of being, dark and looking pretty evil, it just cleansed. It became white light. I had this body made of pure white light. And that was pretty much the first Kundalini experience. And the Kundalini, when it rises up, it can cause lots of things like out-of-body experiences, and that's how mine started, with out-of-body experiences. And they happened pretty much once a month around the full moon. The Kundalini would rise, I'd feel a little movement, but then I'd pop out of my body, which went on for quite a while. And when I wanted to stop them, I know everybody probably wants to have them, but if they're happening spontaneously, they kind of make you feel a little nutty, and you want to stop them, silly me. And I figured, well, if Kundalini's doing this, then the best way to stop it is to fully raise the Kundalini and become enlightened. Because I'm thinking, you're enlightened, you're a master, you can stop having out-of-body experiences if you want. So that's what I shot for. And so I started to meditate hardcore, the clear mind meditation, where it's like the cloud of unknowing, what it teaches. You just sit there calmly, breathe, count your breaths. Pick a word. I pick God. I just repeat God every time my mind wandered. God, God, God. I just say the word. And after, it was pretty quick. It was started to have out-of-body experiences in '88. I started the contemplative meditation, as it's called, with just repeating the word God, whenever my thoughts would wander. I started that in early '94. So probably, February, March I started that. And that's when the Kundalini really started working. I mean, it would shoot up my spine, and I started seeing crazy lights and having really strange, I wasn't doing any drugs at the time, but when I read some of these accounts of DMT, it was like just like that. So, obviously there's something broad going on here that even I don't know about. But I started having like alien abduction experiences, which I just put down as delusions. It's just the craziness, like Lawrence LeShan talks about it. If you're having a vision of the Virgin Mary or aliens, or it doesn't matter, it's just your mind playing tricks on you. Just ignore it, keep meditating, which is what I did. Meditated through it, and then in July, that's pretty much when the Kundalini hit its peak, but also the out-of-body experience stopped. Is when I was feeling the intense separation from God instead of union with God, which is what I was doing this for. And I'm walking in Quamanon Falls up northern Michigan, and the strangest thing happened. I'm just walking along the trail, and the whole world just exploded. I looked at the ground, and instead of mud and rocks on the trail, the rocks looked like gemstones, and the mud looked like flowing gold, and the whole earth was like transparent gold, like glass. And I could see the trees where the tree's seeds first sprouted. It was like a blast of fire into the earth, which I could see because I could see the entire root system, but I could also see the up top. So it started at where the seed originally sprouted, and it just shot up and down. And it wasn't just the visual fire of the universe. Everything looked like crystals. It wasn't just that happened. It was like I disappeared and I became everything. It wasn't like I was a drop and I dissolved into the water. It was, the ocean. It was more like the whole ocean just poured into me, into my drop. And I knew everything. I was everything. It didn't last very long. A minute or two at the most. And it was just the most amazing. That was probably the height of the outward Kundalini, the flash bang stuff. After that, I kept having energy rushing up my spine for a few more years until 1999, and that was the last what the Catholic Church calls rapture. Hindus call or Tantra or Yoga, they call it the Kundalini. The last experience was in March of '99, and that was going up. And after I went through like a luminous quicksilver that was reverberating, and all these shapes were in it, and I also saw the red sparks, the amber glow. The sun, the moon, the energies is what they were, the Ida and Pingala. And then the last was I saw at the end of the tunnel, because you're flying through a tunnel, and when this Kundalini rises, that's how it feels to you. And I saw like a crystal mandala of a flaming swastika with these yin and yang signs in it. And it was really the most beautiful thing I ever saw. And it was like rainbow halo all around it. That's pretty much the limit that human consciousness can reach. After that, it's called the void, and after that, you're supposed to teach and stuff, which of course I did. I taught Tai Chi for many, many years, and I just want to share the first Kundalini and the basic overview of what I'll be talking about in the next few weeks. Hopefully, I'll get enough of these videos back up. I had a bunch of videos on before, and got hacked and lost everything, and I should have protected everything better, but I didn't. Didn't really know what I was doing. I kind of know a little bit better now. So if you have any requests or questions or anything, or want to suggest something I do, please do. I've got a brand new computer and I'm learning everything, so if you know how to work a Mac, please give me some heads up on what I'm supposed to be doing here, because it took me a long time just to figure out how to clip these things. Anyway, thank you very much, and I wish you well on your spiritual journey.